I'm Tyler Dunne.
And I'm Victoria Battcock. We are journalism students here at the College of the North Atlantic. We're broadcasting here from our studio, K109.
Today, we have two musical guests, Chad Harnett and Lauren Eddy from CNA, who will be performing here in the studio.
We look forward to doing this every week, and on the show today, you will learn one way students save money. You'll also hear a story from a cancer patient.
We have a great first half coming up for you, but we're going to start it off with Josh White, who has the news.
Thanks, guys. We have a great show on tap for all of you today, so let's get right into it. So vaporizers are a common sight around St. John's, but are they gaining the attention of kids and causing them to smoke cigarettes? Kicker's Tyler Dunne reports.
The decline of cigarette smoking has been a significant trend over the last 2 decades, but are vaporizers introducing a whole new generation to nicotine addiction? I spoke with Kevin Cody, the executive director of the Alliance for the Control of Tobacco.
We don't think young people should be using them. We don't see any reason why they need them. I mean, if you're talking a 14-year-old shouldn't be trying to use an electronic cigarette to get away from the combustible.
But teens are still trying them. The National Youth Tobacco Survey found large increases in e-cigarette use among youth from 2011 to 2014. And that was 4 years ago. 7 stores dedicated to selling vaporizers have opened in the St. John's area since that study. Melissa Moore has worked for the ACT since 1999 and says the use of vaporizers on school grounds is an issue here on the Avalon.
We get calls from junior high principals, high school principals saying, what can we do about this? It's on our grounds, our children are using it.
Ken Morrissey, Director of Communications for the Avalon School District, said they work with partners like ACT to educate students on the dangers of addiction.
At the end of the day, it's all about education, it's all about prevention, it's all about trying to tell people, look, take a breath, sit down and talk to your kids about this.
I'm Tyler Dunne, Kicker News.
Historic structures are a big part of history in Newfoundland, and the way we use these structures is becoming even more important. Kicker's Victoria Battcock learns how the Heritage Foundation is getting youth involved.
Newfoundland heritage. Sounds boring, right? An old building in your community filled with photos and artifacts might not be an exciting place to go. But a restored heritage building that is set up as a trendy new restaurant or a lighthouse that you can order picnics at could be something to draw your attention. Newfoundland and Labrador Heritage Foundation strives to keep heritage alive in our province, specifically with structures and buildings. Part of their initiative is the annual poster contest for school students.
It's the 13th year of the Heritage Places poster contest. We always had good numbers, but I wanted to get it out more into the schools because I think heritage places in Newfoundland are important, and the people who are going to be looking after them in 20 years' time are now going to school in K-12 schools.
Andrea O'Brien's job at the Heritage Foundation is municipal outreach. This involves speaking with people from different communities to discover which structures are important to them. Part of this is organising the poster contest, an annual event where youth create a poster of a historical building in Newfoundland. The foundation gets a great response each year, and the program has become a hit in rural and urban schools.
We want them to go out and kind of find the buildings in their community that someone in St. John's mightn't necessarily know about. A main part of it is the art, but also the kids telling us why it's important to them. We want kids to see the value in these places and not just see them as, old buildings that are, either going to fall down or too expensive to upkeep.
Poster contest winner Luke Shanahan chose the R.J. O'Brien building in his hometown Cape Royal for his painting. The building was a general store, and now it is home of Stan Cook's kayaking.
I chose that to paint because, every day of the summer I walk by it once or twice. It's not easy to miss, so you're always looking at it. Weird shaped and it's yellow, so just looking at it and thought that it'd be something that everyone would know, or everyone from Cape World would know what it was. Kind of losing the heritage now. Everything's become more modern and generic. I think the contest is good. I think they should keep doing it.
The contest is important for school kids. The curriculum doesn't offer much Newfoundland history, and the social studies course has lost it as a priority.
Kind of losing the heritage now. Everything's become more modern and generic. I think the contest is good. I think they should keep doing it.
The Heritage Foundation has figured out a way to help keep heritage alive while also going along with our generation to become more modern and generic. O'Brien says it's important to keep youth interested in their history, but it's also important to keep up with the times by modernizing some of these buildings.
We don't want to go into a building and just see all these exhibits of old stuff. You know, there's only so many times you can look at an old iron and appreciate it. We want to go into places and see buildings that are actually alive and are being used for different purposes. And there's lots of places around the province that come to mind, like the Ferryland Lighthouse, that could have been turned into a museum. It would have been like any other museum anywhere in the province. But the use that was turned into now, there's thousands of people who go through that every summer, and by osmosis, they're getting the history of that building. They're getting an appreciation for that building through having a picnic.
The reality is, we don't need old buildings to have history. That is why Heritage Foundation strives not just to include structures in their restoration. They tell stories, sing songs, make foods, celebrate holidays, and practice beliefs from our heritage to make it all come to life. This is so important to keep Newfoundland history around.
Don't always need old buildings to have a heritage. And if it's, an empty old building that's kept up and nobody's using it, what kind of heritage is that really?
O'Brien says history isn't a static thing. It is always changing. For Kicker Radio, I'm Victoria Battcock.
Do you like kittens? Do you like yoga? If you said yes to at least one of these things, you're sure to love this combo. Kittens. Yoga. Kicker's Erica Yetman has all the details.
Yogis file in and unroll their mats as 4 fluffy black and white kittens are unleashed upon the studio to a chorus of ahs, and the jingle of cat toys fills the room as the kittens explore their new surroundings. Kitten yoga has taken over St. John's. Amy Walsh with the SPCA said the classes have been selling out since the first one almost 2 years ago.
It's been, like I said, 2 years, and we've done over 20 cat yogas now. Every single one has been, I honestly say it's better than the last one, but it always seems that we have new people come in. We always manage to find the cats that come homes, and it just kind of makes it seem all worth it, even though we're also there too, bringing money for the SPCAs.
The kitty yogas are successful in more ways than one. They raise much-needed funds for the center and find new kittens good homes in the process. And they have no shortage of support, with yoga studios like Hot Yoga Bodies happy to provide a space and an instructor.
Who doesn't like kittens and who doesn't like yoga? I've worked with the SPCA quite a bit over the past few years, and with the yoga studio, a lot of my students in the community we've been raising awareness about the animal adoption need that we have here in St. John's and greater area. So I approached the SPCA and said, let's get together and do this.
Kitten yoga leads to the adoption of many of the furry friends that are brought to classes. But Walsh makes it clear that the ones who aren't adopted will stay at the SPCA until they find their forever home.
So here at the SPCA, we're a no-kill shelter, which means that we don't put down animals for lack of space or length of time that they stay here. So our animals don't have expiry dates. They will stay with us until they find their forever homes. So whether they are, 7 years old or 7 months old, they still get the equal opportunity.
Walsh says watching the animals go off to a happy forever home is one of the reasons why she loves what she does.
It's amazing, honestly. It kind of makes everything that you do worth it. Like when you see animals come in from really tough situations and you really just want to scream at somebody sometimes. But at the end of the day, when you see them going to the forever homes, it makes everything worth it. And it's, I guess, the reason why that we're here.
As for the 4 kitties from Sunday's Kitten Yoga, 2 have already been spoken for. This is Erica Yetman for Kicker News.
And this has been the newscast for the first half hour of the show. I'll be back at 3 o'clock for the second half. It's back to your hosts, Victoria and Tyler.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
There seems to be this traveling stereotype that post-secondary students are broke, and this stereotype can be true. However, are they doing what they can to save money? Kicker's Margaret Harvey reports on couponing.
On Facebook, there's a closed group called Coupon Queens of
Back to
Newfoundland.
this.
There are over 11,000 members, and the numbers keep growing. I joined this group sometime last year and learned a coupon. This really helps me when it came to saving money on groceries and regular household items. There are a wide range of people in the group, from single moms to a full house looking to save $1 here and there, to students trying to get by. Courtney Wheeler is in her second year of post-secondary and her first year at MUN. She lives on her own and relies strictly on her student loans.
I live by myself, so that's so expensive in St. John's. I figured I have to find a way to save money every way possible.
TLC has a show called Extreme Couponing, which is based in the United States. The show makes it seem that couponing takes a lot of effort for a large return, but Canada has different laws, so we can't coupon the same way Americans do. Because stacking is not permitted in Canada, the process is much easier for Canadians trying to save $1 here and there. Becca Fitzgerald, a full-time working mother of 3 girls, made the Coupon Queens of Newfoundland Facebook group 3.5 years ago. She said she wouldn't even be able to tell you how much money she's saved, but it's in the hundreds.
I haven't paid for shampoo or conditioner in 2 years. I went to No Frills, and they had Pantene on clearance, and I had a coupon for the exact amount that, I think they were on clearance for $1.50, and I had a $1.50 coupon, and I had a bunch of them, so I bought, all of that I could.
Yep, that means that Fitzgerald got all that shampoo for free, and it lasted her a year. But there's more ways to save than handing out multiple coupons. Wheeler started to frequently use a cashback app called Checkout 51 in September, and although she had to switch from her usual brands, she believes it was worth the savings.
I started using that in June, but I didn't really use it much until September. I might have used it on 1 or 2 things, but from September until December, I got back $80 or $82 and somewhat cents back in December after using it for those few months.
You may find coupons that are for 50 cents or even $2. Your cashback app may offer you 30 cents back on your laundry detergent, and that sale may only be 10 cents off your favorite cereal, but the money adds up fast. Personally, I have no idea how much I have saved, but the best deal I've taken advantage of was $120 worth of stuff for $40. You may have tried couponing before, but didn't find any coupons or deals relevant to you. This can be normal, and you have to keep a sharp eye out. However, there's a coupon trading group on Facebook called Newfoundland Coupon Queen Traders, where people trade their coupons for other ones.
Trading is a big thing, because, there's so many coupons available, but probably a person will probably only use 30% of the coupons that they, you're not going to buy the products that you're not going to use or need. So trading those coupons is a big thing, because then you can trade them for things that are actually useful to you. So I'll trade dog food coupons with somebody for, kids' pool snacks. That's something that I will actually use.
Regardless of if you're a mother of 3, a student, or a family trying to save a couple bucks, checking the sales in your flyers is a great place to start. Wheeler says there are even some coupons in the physical flyers every other week. Fitzgerald fashioned her own how-to on couponing in the Coupon Queens of Newfoundland Facebook group and is a great place to look if you want to start couponing. This is Margaret Harvey for Kicker News. Happy saving!
So we're very excited today to introduce 2 very talented music students from the 2 musical programs here at CNA. We have Chad Harnett.
Hey, how's it going?
as well as Lauren Eddy.
Hey.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So Lauren and I actually performed together in a band, and the band is called Harnett. And it's it's a mix of my grandfather's nickname and my last name. And normally we play with a 5-piece, and we have a full drum kit and bass and all that, guitars and that kind of stuff. But today and going forward, we're going to do a little bit of duo work. So I guess that's about it.
Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you moved into music?
Sure, yeah. I guess I've had a few different careers. I started as a public relations professional and then moved to South Korea, where I was an English teacher. And it was there I sort of got more serious about music and started playing, a bit more. And it was really easy to get into it there, and I kind of got serious about it there, and I decided to move home and make it more of a career. So I enrolled in the sound recording and production program here at CNA, and here I am.
Very interesting. Well, would you like to tell us what song you'd like to play to kick things off here today?
Sure, we're going to play a song, and it's called Reverent Sound. It doesn't really have any sort of story behind it. My songs are more like poems, but imagine that feeling on a sunny day when you're having a picnic, and the clouds roll over, and it gets a little chilly, and the breeze is chilly, but then the clouds move away from the sun again, and the sun comes out. That was the idea for the song, so hopefully you guys can feel that in this one.
Great, we'll take it away.
All right, thank you.
Come around to the reverent sound. The kids are asleep in their homes. Colors resound in a sleepy town. The masses work to get it done. Cheers for an alibi. The taste of tears and lies. You're subjugating my bones. Acids abound in the things you found. That stuff is deep in your soul. A lonely shrine in the winter time. The kind that's made to face the sun. To this day, I wander back to some may say I shelter all the truth. Run away from your mind. Make way for the sublime. For an alibi, the taste of tears and lies. You're subjugating my bones. Make a shroud of the summer clouds and taste the stars on my tongue. Recite your name, every word out loud. Anything to make this day. I wander back to you. Some may say I shelter all the truth. Run away from your mind. Sublime. Run away from your mind. Make way for the sublime.
And we just had some great music there from two very talented students here at CNA, and we will be hearing from them again later on in the show, so stay tuned into that. Now, on to the next story. Do you love to eat but hate doing the dishes? Well, now a food delivery service is here to help. Kickers Adam Pike spoke with locals in St. John's to see whether or not they'll be skipping the dishes anytime soon.
Doing the dishes. Quite possibly the worst part of any meal. But imagine a world where doing the dishes was no more. Well, one smartphone app is trying to make that world a reality. Skip the Dishes is a North American food delivery service, which recently launched in St. John's. Local restaurants can partner with Skip the Dishes and be featured on their app, allowing hungry homebodies to get local favorites like Jungle Gyms and Zapatas delivered right to their door. The service is great for people who are constantly on the go. People like nurse Jane Moland.
Well, I guess as a working person, and I don't know if that sounds right, it's, I think it's, a long time coming, especially with depending on the restaurants that participate, you can get healthier choices. Doesn't have to be fish and chips or wings and fries. It can be salads. It can be whatever. If you have to stay late at work and you, instead of coming home and having a bowl of cereal or a slice of toast, you can place your order before you leave work and it can get home same time you do.
Skip the Dishes is already generating buzz amongst locals on social media, but others are skeptical about the new service. Mary Jones is a senior living in St. John's with her husband. She feels that the service will get young people away from traditional family dinner at the table.
Well, I understand that some people do it because they're pressed for time, but they're missing out on a lot because cooking is not just feeding yourself, it's the socializing part. It's sitting at the table and talking, how was your day, what went on, school, things like that.
As for if she has any plans to use the service for herself, Jones says she'll stick with her home cooking.
I would say definitely not. If I were on vacation, I'd probably do it. But no, we enjoy getting in the kitchen and cooking together. Mostly my husband does the cooking, but we it's fun.
As for Moland, she hasn't used the service yet, but she says it is in her future dinner plans.
Most definitely, yes. Yeah, especially seeing as how they would deliver it.
Only time will tell if Skip the Dishes will deliver success for local businesses. Or maybe it's just another flash in the pan. Adam Pike, Kicker News.
Last weekend was the Enactus Mental Health and Wellness Fair. This was supposed to be a showcase of artists with mental health challenges who use painting as their outlet. Kicker's Cameron Kilfoy reports.
I walked through the slightly dimmed Arts and Culture Centre late Friday. I was under the impression I would be attending Enactus's Total Exposure event. Enactus is a community of entrepreneurial leaders who see business as a way to address social issues. Their Total Exposure event has become a partnership with Open Window Studios to help people with mental illness showcase their true talent and potential. That's a room filled with people talking about mental health, and things went a little differently this year. Enactus has held 8 total exposure events. It's a place for people to proudly display and sell their art in a public setting. Getting these people out there and exposing their talents is helping to give young artists a chance to feel special and important. This 2-night event was almost foiled due to flooding at the Waterford Hospital. It ruined the artists' painting, leaving them without enough time to recreate them or make new ones. This didn't stop the people at Enactus. They thought it was still such an important issue they put off a mental health wellness fair to help spread awareness on the cause. I sat with Tracy Carberry, Vice President of CNA Enactus St. John's, to discuss this program.
Before, our Total Exposure event was for artists producing artwork as a means of expression, and they had an opportunity to sell it to the general public. Now tonight we're doing a mental health fair whereby we're inviting everybody from the public to come in and actually mingle with people, have conversations about mental health illnesses, and then actually see the resources that are in the community that are available to them, because some people don't even know that these resources are out there.
Walking around the fair, there was booths set up from Bell, Alcoholics Anonymous, and the Canadian Mental Health Association. One that stood out was the Enactus CNA table. They are a small but mighty team of passionate individuals who continuously seek opportunities to help advance the overall economic, social, and environmental health of our community. I got to speak with the college's Enactus representative, Diane Chris, to get her insight on the event.
Basically, it's here
to say, we are here, we want to help you. This is where you can go to get help, to make friends, to find something that will, to encourage you to keep going, basically. It's a major confidence boost to have members of the strangers that you don't know come say, I want to buy this from you, this is amazing. Then that feeling they get is incredible. I've seen it on their faces. They're just by looking at them, you're like, wow, this is the impact we've...
Some people try to skip around the subject of mental health, and some are ashamed with their illness. A mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of and something that needs to be talked about. And the people of Enactus and the representatives have embraced such a topic to give it new meaning, helping people to want to talk, helping people to feel better. For Kicker News, I'm Cameron Kilfoy.
Cancer is a disease that affects a lot of people. Lives torn apart and families ruined. But some people are trying to look at the positives. The big cancer hookup happened last Saturday here in St. John's. Cancer survivors and patients met to discuss important issues. Julie Michaud is a cancer patient from the Halifax area, and she told Kicker News her story.
Julie Michaud was first diagnosed with breast cancer in September of 2010.
At the time, my husband and I had only been married for about 2 years. We had an 11-month-old son. My doctor had been actually pestering the hospital to get me in for a mammogram for over 6 months before they finally got me in, and the tumor was 9 centimeters by 9 centimeters when they did the mammogram, and when I started chemo a month later, it was grown to 12 centimeters by 12 centimeters. So I had 3 boobs and found out that I had cancer in my ribs and in my right lung.
After a year and a half of treatment, she seemed to be responding, but then things took a nasty turn.
And during that time, I actually was also flown up to be a guest for the big cancer hookup. So that would have been, I think it was February of 2016. And found out 2 scans after that I was actually stable. The cancer was not showing up at all in the lung, and the rib mets were no longer growing, and they had been the same for the last 2 scans, so I got to have a break off of chemo. And that lasted about a year and a half until this fall. I suddenly was getting very sick. And the emergency doctor said if he didn't know better, he would have called it chemo flu, because everything was dropping except for my white blood cells were fine. He said the only thing that was keeping him from calling it chemo flu. And then we found out that the cancer was growing in my ribs again, so I am back on Xeloda, and the last scan did show slight progression, but I was 2 months between figuring out that that the bone mets were growing again.
Kathy Stock is a cancer survivor. She says Julie has shown tremendous heart and is a big part of the cancer community.
Julie is a very inspirational person in the young adult cancer community. She's taken something that life has thrown at her that she would never have chosen for herself, and she's turned it into an opportunity. She's turned it into a way to fundraise for organizations. She's turned it into a way to connect with other people. She's turned it into a way to prioritize and to look at things in a different way in her life and prioritize her family and her kids in a way she probably wouldn't have otherwise. She's a really awesome person, and it's been really cool to see what she's done through adversity. She's not only overcome it, but she daily makes a decision to live her best life.
Julie has some important advice for anyone who is dealing with cancer-related issues.
For one, drink the rum. Honestly, live your life, have fun. Don't start listening to every freaking Tom, Dick, and Harry that are going to tell you the new cure for your cancer, because a lot of that stuff's pretty much quacks, and you need to learn to trust your doctors. Yes, you still talk to them and get second opinions if you really feel odd about it, but you need to put some faith in them as well. This is what they do. This is what they've gone to school for years to be able to do.
Like many cancer patients, Julie is now playing the waiting game, waiting for her next scan. She says it's important to stay positive. Her 3 children need her. For Kicker Radio, I'm Josh White.
Now on to the second half of the show, where you will learn about things like the coldest night of the year, a service that will get you home safely, and the Youth Ambassador Program.
We will hear from our music students Chad, Harnett, and Lauren Eddy again, but first the news with Josh White.
Thank you, guys. So vaporizers are a common sight around St. John's, but are they gaining the attention of kids and causing them to smoke cigarettes? Kicker's Tyler Dunne reports.
The decline of cigarette smoking has been a significant trend over the last 2 decades, but are vaporizers introducing a whole new generation to nicotine addiction? I spoke with Kevin Cody, the executive director of the Alliance for the Control of Tobacco.
We don't think young people should be using them. We don't see any reason why they need them. I mean, if you're talking a 14-year-old, a 14-year-old shouldn't be trying to use an electronic cigarette to get away from the combustible.
But teens are still trying them. The National Youth Tobacco Survey found large increases in e-cigarette use among youth from 2011 to 2014. And that was 4 years ago. 7 stores dedicated to selling vaporizers have opened in the St. John's area since that study. Melissa Moore has worked for the ACT since 1999 and says the use of vaporizers on school grounds is an issue here on the Avalon.
We get calls from junior high principals, high school principals saying, what can we do about this? It's on our grounds, our children are using it.
Ken Morrissey, Director of Communications for the Avalon School District, said they work with partners like ACT to educate students on the dangers of addiction.
At the end of the day, it's all about education, it's all about prevention, it's all about trying to tell people, look, take a breath, sit down and talk to your kids about this.
Do you like kittens? Do you like yoga? If you said yes to at least one of these things, you're sure to love this combo. Kittens. Yoga.
Yogis file in and unroll their mats as 4 fluffy black and white kittens are unleashed upon the studio to a chorus of ahs, and the jingle of cat toys fills the room as the kittens explore their new surroundings. Kitten yoga has taken over St. John's. Amy Walsh with the SPCA said the classes have been selling out since the first one almost 2 years ago.
It's been, like I said, 2 years, and we've done over 20 cat yogas now. Every single one has been, I honestly say it's better than the last one, but it always seems that we have new people come in. We always manage to find the cats that come homes, and it just kind of makes it seem all worth it, even though we're also there to bring in money for the SPCAs.
The kitty yogas are successful in more ways than one. They raise much-needed funds for the center and find new kittens good homes in the process. And they have no shortage of support, with yoga studios like Hot Yoga Bodies happy to provide a space and an instructor.
Who doesn't like kittens and who doesn't like yoga? I've worked with the SPCA quite a bit over the past few years, and with the yoga studio, a lot of my students in the community we've been raising awareness about the animal adoption need that we have here in St. John's and greater area. So I approached the SPCA and said, let's get together and do this.
Kitten yoga leads to the adoption of many of the furry friends that are brought to classes. But Walsh makes it clear that the ones who aren't adopted will stay at the SPCA until they find their forever home.
So here at the SPCA, we're a no-kill shelter, which means that we don't put down animals for lack of space or length of time that they stay here. So our animals don't have expiry dates. They will stay with us until they find their forever homes. So whether they are, 7 years old or 7 months old, they still get the equal opportunity.
Walsh says watching the animals go off to a happy forever home is one of the reasons why she loves what she does.
It's amazing, honestly. It kind of makes everything that you do worth it. Like when you see animals come in from really tough situations and you really just want to scream at somebody sometimes. But at the end of the day, when you see them going to the forever homes, it makes everything worth it. And it's, I guess, the reason why that we're here.
As for the 4 kitties from Sunday's Kitten Yoga, 2 have already been spoken for. This is Erica Yetman for Kicker News.
And this has been the newscast for the second half hour. It is back to our 2 hosts of the show. And this has been the newscast for the second half hour. It is back to our two hosts of the show, Victoria and Tyler.
Thank you very much for that, Josh. So now on to where we talk about the coldest night of the year, which is a daytime event here in St. John's. It's a midday walk to raise awareness for homelessness in the city. Quentin Colburn gives more details.
It's February. It's frigid. It's freezing. And as Canada's favorite groundhog, Puxatani Phil predicts, it's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. Now, for you or me, that's 6 extra weeks of defrosting your windshield. Or scraping the salt off of our boots. But not everyone in the city of St. John's has a car, or a boot scraper, or a home. 30% of the homeless in St. John's are youth. We can do something to help. Every year, Choices for Youth hosts an event called Coldest Night of the Year. But when you're on the streets, St. John's isn't the only city that's frigid or freezing. Coldest Night of the Year is held in 121 locations and is operated by Blue Sea Philanthropy, who are located in Kitchener, Ontario. I've spoken with Miki Takamaki from Blue Sea about how the coldest night of the year has grown since the year it began.
So back in 2011 was year one, and we started with 2 locations, with Kitchener and Toronto, and we had about 400 walkers, and they raised $110,000. So in year one, that was a great result. But a couple of days ago, we had 800 walkers sign up in one day, and we raised about $120,000 yesterday. So now we're raising more in one day than we did for the whole first year of the event.
The coldest night of the year, specifically here in St. John's, has already raised over $25,000. That's over halfway towards their expected goal of $45,000. It makes no wonder that the coldest night of the year is the fastest growing peer-to-peer event in all of Canada.
Yep, you guys have been gaining a lot of momentum recently. How has your organization grown in the last couple of years?
So Coldest Night started in 2011, and there were, I think, 3 or 4 of us all together, and it's grown. We do 2 events. We do Coldest Night in February and then a cycling event in September called Ride for Refuge. So the reason our charity exists, we're based in Kitchener, Ontario. We exist to help charities across Canada raise funds by just providing them with the tools and the logistics to put on these kinds of events. So we're up to about 12 or 13 staff in Canada now.
The now annual event by Choices for Youth is held every year at Atlantic Place on Water Street. Come and join over 270 walkers this Saturday as they take a step in the right direction.
All right. So the next song we're going to do is a song which is right now called The World Turns. It may or may not change the name before we put it on the album. Anyway, it's a song, it was written for a friend of mine who sort of battles mental health issues. So that's what the song is about. And it's sort of just, no matter how hard it gets, it's about believing you belong. And you got to believe that to sort of get through life. And that's for him. Ready? Yeah. Ready? I've been told some things are better left alone in reason. There's no more. Why can't I ever seem to grow? Faded. How long I have waited.
I used to know, depleted, let go of all the things I used to hold. Wanted to be fearless, but I hold it all inside. Whenever you feel it, it's gone. Decades are bound to roll on, but we're not here for long. Gotta believe you belong. Whenever you feel it, it's gone. Decades are bound to roll on, but we're not here for long. Gotta believe you belong. Whenever you feel it, it's gone. Decades are bound to roll on, and though we're not here for long, you gotta believe you belong. Whenever you feel it, it's gone. Decades are bound to roll on, but we're not here for long. Gotta believe you belong. Gotta believe you belong.
Chad Harnett and Lauren Eddy, both very talented students here at the college, who both came in and played for us. So it was very nice of them. Thanks again.
Great. Now, our next story is about the Double D's here in St. John's. Have you ever been stuck in a situation where you needed a ride but just didn't have money for a cab? Double D's of Newfoundland and Labrador might be the service for you. However, there may be some safety hazards. Kicker's Ashley Shepard has the story.
Double D's of NL is a Facebook group, and it's not what you think. Double D's, or Designated Drivers of NL, was created by Isabella White 3 years ago so that people who've had too much to drink can get home safely.
Like, I've heard of Uber, I've heard of like taxis and stuff, but like there's not a designated page for people to go on, and and I've been in situations where I've been downtown and I've had no money for a cab. Like, there should be a page where someone should feel safe enough to go on and be like, I'm stuck tonight, I'm literally stranded, I have no money, I feel unsafe, I feel like, I'm not going to make it home, I could possibly be sleeping in a ditch, can anybody save me tonight?
White never expected the amount of positive feedback the group would receive. After 2 years and many attempts to make sure all members participating were respectful and, sane, the group has now just over 2,400 people. For White to ensure that the members of her group are not in harm's way, she has rules and regulations for both drivers and passengers. It is expected that everyone is respectful, messages are kept public, and money is not to be advertised.
I expect them, when they join the group, to read up on the groups, to see what the purpose of the group is, the rules and everything. And of course, there are people who ignore some of the rules, but the best that I can do and the best of my ability, I make sure that my members know how open I am to their concerns. So if they have any concerns, or if they have a bad experience, or someone has ripped them off or anything like that, they can come to me and I will make sure that it's dealt with.
However, not everyone likes the concept. Valley Cab dispatcher Alex Rose says he has some concerns about the group.
Well, speaking from my experience as being a taxi driver, Matt, I don't agree with them. because of the fact of you don't know who's picking you up. At least the thing with a taxi is you know who's picking you up, right? So you could get anywhere from a psychopath to a wonderful grandmother.
Rose says that there are standards that each taxi driver needs to meet when being hired. With a group like Double D's of NL, it is difficult to be sure that your driver can be trusted.
Like with us, now in order for anyone to drive a cab with us, they have to have a certificate of conduct, which goes to the boss and stuff like that, and it trickles down until, and if you got something on your certificate of conduct or your abstract, they're not going to hire you.
Even if you're in a tight spot and can't afford a cab, Rose says there are safer means of transportation.
There's always an option as well if you're in a tight spot. I know with our company, we try to do the best we can for customer service. So, and I'm after answering the phone many times where people were in a tight spot and didn't have any money, and we charge them a cab.
Despite these concerns, Double D's of NL still continues to get people home safely and continues to grow. For Kicker News, I'm Ashley Shepard.
Over 1 million people pick up their smartphones twice a day to play HQ Trivia, the live trivia game show with cash prizes. Kicker's Beth Penny speaks with Laura Fallon, a St. John's woman who actually won the HQ Trivia jackpot.
This is HQ, the trivia game show on your phone where you answer questions to win cash. I am Quizper, the friendly host, Scott Rogowski, live and in living color with all 1.1 million of you.
What are you doing every night at 10:30 p.m.? If you're like over 1 million people around the world, you're picking up your phone to play the new live trivia game, HQ Trivia. It's become a huge hit over the past few months, with over 1 million people logging on twice daily for their chance to win a cash prize. Laura Fallon of St. John's was one of the 1.1 million people playing HQ Trivia just a few weeks ago when she won part of the $2,500 jackpot.
My family was asleep when it happened, and so I woke them all up because I was so excited.
I think if I won like 5 cents, I would still have been just as excited. It's more about actually winning.
She won more than 5 cents. The $2,500 jackpot was split between 175 people, each winning a grand total of $14.29 each.
Started playing, I think, around Christmas because I was going to a lot of parties with my friends and stuff, and we would kind of always play when we were together. So I started then, and yeah, I've been playing pretty much ever since. I was actually by myself, which is weird because normally I do play with other people, but that was one of the only times that I was alone.
The game consists of 12 questions with 3 options, and you have 10 seconds to answer from when Rogowski starts reading the question, and they just get tougher as you go.
I think I probably knew for sure about half of them, but the rest were kind of just lucky guesses. So I kind of, even though it's only in 10 seconds, that night for some reason I was on my game, and I guess I just did a good job of trying to think like, okay, well, it can't be that one, and it can't be that one, so it must be that. And then some of them were just complete guesses. But yeah, no, I definitely didn't know them all.
Q12, this is it. It all boils down to this. 1,268 players, $500. Who's going to try to cop those colossal-sized Picassos? By answering Q12. Copernicus allegedly stated that his life's biggest regret was that he never did what? Befriended his priest, measured the sun, or saw the planet Mercury. Copernicus never saw the planet Mercury. And 175 people are seeing winners, baby!
I haven't actually taken the money out yet because I kind of like seeing it there. I don't know if I ever will. Well, now that I won once, I want to win again. But I mean, honestly, I haven't been doing very well since then.
HQ Trivia winners used to be required to have $20 in the bank to cash out, but that rule has recently changed, and winners can now cash out by using their PayPal account. For Kicker Radio, I'm Beth Penny.
The Youth Ambassador Program with Canada is a 3-week exchange trip targeted toward youth who are 15 to 18 years old and interested in helping out with their community. The selected youth then travel to Ottawa for a pre-departure orientation. Then they travel by bus to Plattsburgh, New York. There, they stay with families for about 11 days and then finally move on to Washington, D.C. Here to talk about the Youth Ambassador Program with Canada is Kickers Tyler Mugford.
Hello.
Hi, Tyler.
How's you getting on?
So, Tyler, tell us a little bit about the program.
So the Youth Ambassador Program is a 3-week exchange program. It happens, so it's a 3-week exchange program, starts in the summer, and it's all about empowering youth to be leaders in their community. So to the youth, there's about 15 to 16 youth. And
So how do you get selected? I'm sorry.
So it's an application process. It's a pretty long process, and the youth has to fill out the application, and they have to identify a problem within their community. And that's basically the whole concept of the Youth Ambassador Program, is that the 3 weeks, the youth has, there's a lot of workshops, a lot of hands-on opportunities, and they learn how to identify a problem, to solve the problem, and kind of just implement a community service project within their communities after the 3-week exchange trip.
And you took part in all this?
Yeah, I took part in this in the 2016 Youth Ambassador Program. So I think back in 2016, it was the 5th year of the Youth Ambassador Program with Canada. Youth Ambassador Program is all over the world, but this is the 5th. It's the 7th year, I think, for Youth Ambassadors with Canada. Now, my highlight of the trip back in 2016 was the homestay in Plattsburgh, New York. And it was super fun. I mean, that's where I met. I stayed in a house with two other guys, and we stayed with a British American woman who's 85 years old, and she was a very colorful woman. She's very nice, and her name is Marjorie, and she's a wonderful woman. She made us a lot of good food. So yeah, that was my highlight of the trip.
So that was your highlight of the trip. If you were to take one thing from that program that you've learned, what do you think it would be?
I definitely think it really forced me out of my shell as a person. I mean, I don't think, if I never went to Youth Ambassador Program, I don't think I would be in journalism today. It really just forced me out of my shell, changed me as a person. So if there's any youth out there who wants to participate in this, I highly recommend it. It's super fun. I mean, it forces you out of your shell, and don't be scared to do something. Don't be scared to say no. If you're presented with an opportunity, take that opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for telling us about that experience, Tyler Mugford. We are actually closing off the show today with our talented musical guests one last time, Chad Harnett and Lauren Eddy. Thanks for listening. I'm Tyler Dunne.
And I'm Victoria Battcock, Kicker New.
What's the next song that we have coming up?
So, you want to introduce it?
Sure. The next song is it's called Honeymoon. Maybe Chad can speak to more.
Yeah, well, I guess Chad's the original songwriter, right? These are all original works done by you.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, then, would you like to fill us in on what this song's about?
Sure. This is kind of my. It happened a couple of years ago, and at the time there was this sort of astronomical phenomenon happening called the honeymoon, and I don't know the technical details of it, but basically you get this really big, bright, rich full moon that's almost like orangey or a honey color. And at the time, I was listening to I was listening to Nick Drake's song Pink Moon, and Neil Young's song Harvest Moon. And so I was just really obsessed with the moon at this point, and I had this guitar piece, and I was like, that reminds me of the moon. I'm going to write a song about the moon. So here it is. It's called Honey Moon. Not like the one you would go on with your partner after you get married. This is the big...
Like the two words, honey,
yes,
honey, moon.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look forward to hearing it.
Cool, thanks. Let's make sure we're roughly in tune here. I'll get a little drink of water before we start. Okay. 4 count? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rise with the moonlight and walk with the dead. Chase the dilettantes out of my